Coming up on today's episode of the More Than Sunday podcast.
How are you doing at seeing yourself as God sees you?
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, that phrase from Jesus, I only do what I see my Father doing. Is that a question I'm asking? Father, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. The world's like a washing machine, and we're dropped in it. And Jesus, again, back to John 16, he says that you will have tribulation. We're in this washing machine. It's just all over.
Yeah.
But we can have a peace that transcends understanding, when we understand. I think it's a great question.
Welcome to the More Than Sunday podcast with lead pastor Scott Harris and your host Josh Rogers. Each episode, we aim to have honest conversations around daily living as a follower of Jesus outside of a church building. Thanks for joining us. Let's start the conversation.
Hey, welcome back to More Than Sunday. This is episode 17. I'm Josh. This is Scott. We're happy to be here. Excited to talk about some stuff today. I've got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
This is something...
I love it.
Okay, so we were talking about... We always have these conversations in pre-pod. We're just getting warmed up, and we were talking about how long it takes to get to work sometimes.
Yes.
So on the way home, we have tons of time to talk with my kids because they're all in the car. And we do, I don't know if you may have heard of this being a student ministry guy, highs, lows, buffaloes.
The third part, no. Highs, lows, what's a buffalo?
It's random.
Oh.
Because it's like, I don't know, what's a buffalo?
Okay.
So we do highs, lows, and buffaloes every day. It's like, how was your day? So we're going to start with highs, lows, and buffaloes.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to go first? You want to kick us off?
To go with a high or a low?
Yeah, high, low, buffalo.
Wow, this is good. I mean, yeah.
And I always tell my kids, you don't have to have a low. These are just opportunities to share about how you're feeling.
Yeah, it's good. Let me think here. A high, the Seahawks are winning.
That is true.
That's a high for me. I'm a Seahawks fan, and they are looking good. They're fun to watch again. We went through a couple seasons that they weren't so fun, after a long stint where they were really fun. So I enjoy watching them. They look very well coached and playing hard. So a high are the Seattle Seahawks.
I saw a picture. I think it was during the Seahawks game, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a Seahawks fan.
Boo.
Sorry, Seattle. Of Sean Alexander. He has like 15 kids now.
I know. It might be more than that. Something like that.
That's
though.
a lot of kids.
Yes.
Good for him.
Well, listen, when you make the money he makes, we got no problem with that.
No problem.
You got that money, you want to have all them kids. And here's the cool thing, right? Because usually in sports figures, when you say what you just did, it means there's a whole lot of baby mamas out there.
Oh, true.
This is one woman.
One wife, yep.
He's a follower, a very outspoken lover of Jesus. And so he just has the means to support them.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend you don't have 14 kids.
I receive that wisdom.
I heard an amen from Courtney out there.
So your high Seahawks.
Seattle Seahawks.
Yep. Do you have a low?
Wow, a low.
Or Buffalo?
Well, Buffalo's my life, so I live in Buffalo land. It's one of the beauties of ADHD, right?
True.
It's always
True.
I'm always thinking and daydreaming. A low. Wow, right now life is pretty good. So not a major low, maybe a minor one. I went to the Silver Tips game the other day and they lost in overtime. Could be a low, but luckily, family, all this stuff, relational around me. There's that. I'm in a good spot.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I really like Carter Bear.
Yay, Silver Tip.
He's a Silver Tip. He got drafted.
He did.
To the Red Wings.
Mm-hmm.
He just got optioned back to the Silver Tips.
I know.
Pretty excited to watch it again.
I am too. You have to come to a game with me. That'd be fun.
I know. That'd be fun. Silver Tips. Go Tips.
Ooh.
All right. High for me.
Yeah.
I'll go low first.
Okay.
Low. I got super sick last week. And that I was in bed. Like I didn't get off the couch for like 4.5 days. It was gross.
Can I publicly apologize to you this? Because I told my wife about our conversation yesterday, and And she says, yeah, you did that. And I was like, oh, Scott. She goes, your prayer saved it. So Josh was really sick.
Oh, my God.
And so in that sickness on Sunday, he called in and said, because he was trying to rally, and he just couldn't. And so Brittany took it.
I was wrapped
over.
up like a little quesadilla in that blanket.
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
And so I wanted to encourage Brittany because, anytime last minute, especially your guys' job, it doesn't do last minute well. It's really, really hard to do that. Yeah. And you knew that. I'm not sure that's why you're battling to get here. But so I am aware of that. And so I just say, great job for doing this. In that, I sound like you just kind of blew off work that day. I said, Josh called in at 7 a.m., said he wasn't coming, is I think how I phrased it. And so my wife told me she was in the front row thinking, oh, no. And Josh teased me, said, hey, you threw me under the bus. I said, what do you mean?
Yeah.
But
I'm just so flaky.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's just how you are. We don't know if you're coming or not
I know,
every Sunday. So publicly, for the first part, I apologize. I did in my prayer pray for his healing and stuff. So hopefully, I didn't say what the healing was. They might have thought for your wayward.
Yeah, my character.
Yeah. So anyhow, I apologize for that.
No, you know what? I forgive you. And I received the healing. So the rest of my cough, it can go away. That thing can linger for a while. High for me, I really like rainy weather. It feels really homey to me. From Indiana, I'm used to storms all the time. So I know that's not everyone's favorite, but for me, the rain feels cool. It feels homey. Yeah. So I like that.
Lightning last night. Did you notice it?
I heard.
Yeah, it was awesome.
My
power flash, I was so excited.
See, that's great.
I know.
Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo's
What's
fun.
random?
You've opened up my world. I
know.
like this.
You gotta throw something random in there. Something you didn't expect, maybe that's going on. Something I didn't expect. Well, we've been talking about sports, and we didn't know what was going to happen with my Lions because we got a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, and they're looking pretty good.
Yes.
They really laid a stinkeroo week 1, so needed some time to warm up. But the last 3 weeks, they've been looking pretty good.
Yes.
So surprised by that and excited.
You saved me in fantasy football.
Did I?
Yeah, I was losing, and it really, my league reported that I had a 1% chance to win. And I thought, because I've been doing pretty good. I'm sure you all have heard about it, because my fantasy football team is such a big deal. But so I told Sandy, I said, my win streak's over. And then I checked it later, and I won. And it was because you guys had a late flurry, and I've got a couple of your players on my team. So thank you, Detroit Lions.
Yeah. Thanks, Lions, for being you. All right. I was looking at some stats this morning, and I have potentially a surprising stat to share.
I like this.
Yeah. So in 2013, they started, 2012 actually, we have a study available online from 2012 to 2025 of worldwide average social media usage.
Yes.
In 2023, it peaked at like 150 minutes a day, something like that. Over the last 2 years, it's been coming down a little bit to like 143 and 141. So right now, on average, worldwide, people are spending 2-ish hours on social media a day, but it seems to potentially have a trend downwards away from that. I'm curious how does that impact you? What do you think about that? And how with your own relationship with social media, does that ring true for you? Or,
yeah, I mean, it's really good news because what we have to understand about social media, for the most part, we are a product in it.
True.
And so, so that creates all kind of social ills. It destroys homes. It destroys people. It gives a lot of misinformation. It stokes fires. It takes community conversation out to, what do you guys, algorithms, right? And how they work. So you are not getting balanced, informed information. You are getting very targeted things to you. So what happens is the more you're on it, the more that's happening. And that wreaks havoc in every area of social structure. Now, I'm saying there's some amazing, beautiful things that social media does for society and stuff. So let's make sure that's there too. I'm just talking, what do I think about the use coming down? And I didn't know that. I was just reading some stats the other day that this is a couple years ago, so this is good, that people swipe their phone, they open it up and do something with it 5,000 times a day.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's massive.
Yep.
And that's the heaviest. So the average was somewhere 2,500 was low use, right? And 5,000 was extreme. So I was like, I was just sitting with that just the other day. I was like, wow. And then thinking about what I just told you. So that was kind of fresh in my mind. So what do I think about it? Good. And I hope that represents families engaging more, things like churches and spiritual input increasing, right? Around the place that it does its best, around the table, around conversations, driving home with high, lows, buffaloes, stuff like that. Well, our society needs that.
Yeah.
You do not find that in social media.
So interesting. I read another article. I'm not really an article guy, but when I do prep for...
You're getting way more sophisticated. Look at you go.
You got to put in the work, It was a psychology article around social media. And it was sort of a bit of pro-con, but at the same time, it was more practical and application-oriented of these are the effects you might see. These are some things you could try. So there was a pro side of it was a writer, an author, PhD, but also referencing another study that he is experiencing what the study said, that stress levels tend to go down when you turn off or take a break from social media. Yeah. But on the con side, there is a noted immediate loneliness that people are experiencing as they quit social media. And so it was interesting, excuse me, it was interesting, some of the action steps it said. The first one was cultivate non-online relationships. Yeah,
that's good. I like that.
Which is cool, but also it just makes me, I guess it reminds me of how far we've gone into the digital world, because it feels a little silly.
Yeah.
Man, we pushed so far into this digital world that a helpful next step is have a friend?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And it's not a silly solution. It is the solution. Yeah. But it seems like such a basic, simple human thing. Yeah. But we've talked before on the show how the skill set of building relationship is weakening. Yeah. I think across the board. And so it's interesting to see generationally, generations are responding differently to social media as well. Yeah. And so especially in Gen Z, there is a rise in, that's a weird way to say it, there is a pattern of decrease in social media and a pattern of pursuing authentic relationship that's really cool. I bring this up because I've been practicing. I've deleted all social media off my phone a few weeks ago, and I heard from another pastor this idea of there's things about social media that I feel like I need to stay connected to some people that I only have on there. So I just have made a rule for myself that I only check them on my computer. Mm-hmm. Good. And it's I forget to do it. Yeah. And so last week I didn't at all. Yeah. But so far, it's been an interesting experiment because that's not the first time I've done this, but it really, I feel like I touch this thing less and I'm thinking about it less, which is weird. And I don't like how much I think about it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I think it's, as you talk, congratulations, I'm proud of you. What we are dealing with that. So as you state that, and I'm hoping that people that are around you, people that are listening to this, will understand the importance of that. But what we have to understand, what we're dealing with is with an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And this change will not happen easily. So each individual says, hey, I'm going to do this. What I'm telling you is you're going to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
The study you read, there's going to be a void that it was unhealthy that you're feeling, but that's there, and it's going to have to be replaced with, you said, real relationship, which says, depending on how deep you are into your addiction, a skill that you may have lost. And
sure. Yeah.
And so the easy thing is going for the quick fix and the false intimacy and connection that social media does. So I guess I would almost follow this with just an encouragement to pray, and it's hard, and keep fighting. And if you can give the words, and this, I've given myself these words,
mm-hmm.
addicted, because it tells you that you're in for a fight.
Sure.
And you go about it versus, like, I'm going to stop eating, so much sugar. And what do we end up doing? We end up, eating as much, if not more, later,
mm-hmm.
Because it's just kind of a little thing we're trying, versus I'm going to battle an addiction. And it's crazy because this thing that has some goodness to it is also the thing that is the source of this addiction. So here I go, right? Anyway, so congratulations. And I want to say this, because you a little bit represent the millennials. Us older folks thought for sure you guys are going to wreck the country.
Yeah.
So look at what you're doing.
Wow.
I'm very proud of you. Social media is down, so let's give a shout out to the millennials. We're proud of you.
We're all just trying our best.
There you go.
Putting in the work.
Well, you guys got a bum rap for a few years, so
that is true.
You guys are on the rise.
That's the story of every generation.
Exactly.
Except the greatest generation.
Yeah.
There's no bum rap.
Yeah. Yeah, they just had to go through a world war and a depression and all these things. So
yeah, we don't touch them.
Let's don't do that.
We don't touch them.
You guys are going to get great doing your thing. So greatness starts with putting your phone down. There you go.
So to move to our main topic, I think it, in a lot of ways, comes from this conversation around like what drives the addiction to social media.
Yep.
Is this question: what is the secret to contentment? Yeah. And for our Jesus followers, we recognize those words from Paul in Philippians, that he's found the secret to be content. He's found how to be content in all these different circumstances, whether hungry or fed or tired or and so I would love to just take a few minutes and sit with that a little bit.
Yeah.
And talk about what does that mean? And I think for me, just the way I process truth like that, and I would put that, how I would categorize that is like a kingdom truth. This is a truth of God's reality, is a question of how did Jesus model contentment? Mm-hmm. Was he content?
Yeah. Yeah, good point. I mean, he had things that needed to be fixed, right? And
mm-hmm.
so that was a truth. So,
because I think it opens the question: what is contentment?
Yeah, and I think I would go this. I go to John 16. I think contentment finds itself in the life of the Greek idea of peace, Hebrew of shalom.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that here, but I'll remind you the Hebrew word shalom, which is translated through Greek and into English as peace, but not just a peace. It's as it should be,
mm-hmm.
as things should be, whole, complete. And so Jesus says, I bring it and I leave it, John 16. And so this idea of our human experience, that through the work of Jesus on the cross is, shalom is possible.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
not,
we pursue that.
and it's not a moment.
No.
It's almost a lifestyle of shalom.
Exactly. Yeah, and that we call it spiritual maturity, spiritual growth, sanctification, these types of things. So it's this journey of it. There's this place of that we have it through Jesus's work, and when we receive Him, there is this sense that it's as ongoing as we grow in contentment. I'm going to use that word, so no, I'm using it right now synonymous with shalom, and then it goes into this completion when Christ comes in and we're with Jesus in full eternity, and we are fully sanctified and separated, or sanctified and separated from sin, and all these things to where so complete sanctification. So the point being is that discontentment comes in the spaces that we aren't in shalom, right? And so when things aren't, and you said it so well, that it's a kingdom conversation, right?
Yeah. So if we do a cultural comparison just for conversation, and like there's an air of political to this because it's part of the American DNA on paper of who we were to be, this pursuit of happiness. I think it would be plausible to compare in a secular conversation the idea of pursuit of happiness with what we're calling contentment. I'm not saying they're the same thing. I'm saying in a secular conversation, I think that's a comparison.
Yes, and happiness to me is a surface word.
Sure.
Right? And so shalom is a being word, right? Joy is a word of depth, right? And happiness is surface. I mean, things went the way I wanted to go, something like that.
But as you said, even with social media, we're a product of what, in a lot of ways, we're being pushed towards. And this idea of pursuit of happiness is so pervasive in our culture, it becomes a guide for us emotionally, even when we don't realize it. So I would say, how do we, as followers of Jesus, self-assess and kind of wrestle with our own perspective of what are we after?
Yeah.
Because we're, there's a lot of things about dopamine and we're after that next thing. We're after the next hit. We're after the next, if I could get to this, then if I could at my job this, and then if I could get into all these different circumstances that create this sense of contentment or comfort or happiness or whatever, how do we navigate that individually and reorient that towards what Jesus says about what that word contentment is?
Yeah. Interesting. Two elements that come to mind. I told about the stats, right, about social media and some of the things I said. Well, I read that with just this general idea of contentment in mind, so and I made the statement earlier that we are a product. So there's this piece. There are billions of dollars sold by experts and professionals of how to convince us we're not happy, we're not fulfilled.
Yeah,
and it's called marketing, right?
Sure.
And these phones you just talked about, right? We have them in our hands, hours upon hours upon hours. We touch it somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 times a day, right?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about a Seinfeld moment.
I love Seinfeld. Go.
Well, Jerry was talking about a Coke commercial, and he's like, look at everybody. They're happy and dancing, and they're in swimsuits on the beach, and if I could have a Coke too, then I could be like that.
100%.
But that's the heart of marketing, is like you could be at this place of quote, contentment
Yes.
if
Well,
you have this thing.
Exactly. And they want to show you what you're not.
Right.
And so if you're going to be fulfilled, you need this. You need to do this. You need to take this. You need to be here. You need to be like this. You need to look like this. And, again, this is I can go off on this and I'll stop short of this, but I'll say this is the problem, that we're products. And if you understand that, maybe you got a shot with it. But if you just float through life, you are getting sucked in by the pros. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you are discontent. And now your identity is in what you're not. And so now I get to go pursue this. And then again, we know it's, I'll go here. Oh, that didn't quite do it. So I'm going to go do this and be this and all the things and experience this and believe this. And we know those do not lead to shalom, to contentment. It's why what Paul says that you quoted in Philippians 4, it's probably one of the up there in the high most quoted scriptures. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's in the same context you just quoted.
Yep.
Right? And what he's saying, it's about Christ. Matthew 6 says, what should we do? What do we worry about? And all this, he says, seek first the kingdom of God, God's ways, Jesus' ways, and his righteousness, meaning be in a right relationship with this. And then I will add all these things. And I love what the end of Philippians says is, he'll provide all that you need. So now we understand what we need. Our identity is in him. Our peace is in him. We are content. And so now it's a need level conversation versus I've got to become something I'm not. So anyway, felt like a soapbox there, but I found myself charged up trying to say we have to understand the powers that are work against us for identity. And
isn't it interesting that studies are showing that this is the most anxious we've ever been?
Oh, it's crazy. It's off the charts.
So this idea of I'm going to go find, I love what you said, like I'm going to try this thing and then that stops making me happy and then I try this thing. And so we're in this cycle of pursuit of these things that make us happy that's leading, I don't know if it's, correlation, causation, however, but what we know is true is that we've got an anxiety problem. Yeah. And yet also in Philippians 4 is where Paul talks about be anxious for nothing, but instead in prayer and supplication, bring all things before the Lord. So that to me is a stark contrast.
And finish that. And the peace of God will guard your heart.
Yeah. What a stark contrast. And so that's where maybe this was a setup to the question, so what's the secret? And maybe we just said it, but to put some plain words to it, if we're stuck in this cycle of get to the next thing, and anxiety, and am I enough? Paul said the secret of contentment, how do we break that cycle and get into this shalom that we're hearing about?
Yeah, well, and, as, we're talking, a lot of the things sounds like we're talking about things, but it's actually ideas and thoughts and worldview.
Yeah.
Right? So, meaning this, why are we the most anxious? I sat on a panel with community leaders talking about this very topic. And we talked about it, and we talked about the statistics and how just, again, off the charts are kids and their anxieties. Well, look at the world around us. We're telling them it's all coming to an end. If you don't believe this, there's some group that is against you, and they're trying to harm you, if not even kill you, right? And you got this other line of thinking, if you believe this way, this is the answer, and if you don't, all is going to be lost. And so the hope that Jesus brought is actually robbed in the world views and how we are having conversations as a society right now. It's extreme. It's fear-based. And so why does Paul go here? The secret is very clear because he says it in 4:13, right? It's Jesus, right? And knowing that he is the creator God.
Mm-hmm.
He's all powerful. So guess what? No entity could usurp his power. So, right, I could be content in that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to, oh no, the boogeyman's coming after me, whoever that might be, and whatever belief that might be. No, Jesus has this. The second piece of it is he brings hope, peace, and love. So we get to filter out is this doing this? Mm-hmm. He says he created us in his image. So if something's trying to rob you of identity, you say, no, I'm a son, I'm a daughter of the Most High. And so if you are making me feel less than, then no. And I go back to what you brought up a lot earlier, the power of who gets to speak into me. What will I allow to control me? And I, maybe you know this, it's one of my pursuits for the last 3 or 4 years, because I saw my mind getting controlled by voices around me and media and my phone and stuff like that. And I said, no, Jesus and Jesus alone, everything will be filtered through that. And when I see it go off that, even if there's professing Jesus, because that happens too, the answer is no, because I've got the test of Galatians, the fruit of the Spirit. Because if it's not that, then it's not God.
Yeah.
Right? So anyhow, soapbox time. But yeah, no, I feel strongly about it because I'm watching kids anxious, hurt themselves, fearful for the future. And it's tragic.
Yeah, one of the things that comes to mind, kind of jumping back and forth between Paul and Jesus quite a bit, but Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ, right? Mm-hmm. And so we go back to the source, and one of the things that, as I've been just processing this myself and thinking, one of the things that comes to mind is Jesus' contentment. And there's a rich theological conversation around fully God and fully man and what did he feel and how, and that's maybe a conversation for another time. But one of the things he said was, I only do what I see my Father doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of my mentors along the way proposed, he said, I wonder if Jesus, in terms of his identity and how he saw himself, if he only ever saw himself in context of in relationship with his Father. And so he kind of played that thought and that line of thinking out and said, I wonder if you would have asked him how he is, if he would have said, my Father and I are well.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
So his how he is wasn't a feeling-based answer. It was a relationship-based answer based on the context of his relationship with his Father.
Yeah.
I thought that was super intriguing, and I think it potentially is a helpful question or line of thinking for how we might step towards what Jesus modeled for us.
Yeah.
I mentioned like self-assessment earlier, and the world is full. I mean, whether you go social media, whether you go online, if you're Google or using ChatGPT or whatever, with self-help options. I don't think Christianity is self-help, but I think there are helpful next steps we can certainly take. And one of them might be how are you doing at seeing yourself as God sees you?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those, I think I've mentioned this, but I teach one of the classes in the middle school, the worship leadership class, and we've been talking to him a lot about the difference between knowing about God, that he exists, what he did, what he's done, and knowing him, where there's a personal connection, a relational draw to his presence because we've experienced his love over us. And I wonder, that phrase from Jesus, I only do what I see my Father doing. is that a question I'm asking? Father, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a question I'm sitting with? And I mean, for myself, like, there's been seasons where I've been good at asking that question,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been seasons where I stink at asking that question.
Yeah.
And I'm more motivated by what I feel like needs done in the day to get my job done, to take care of my kid. And all of those are noble and good things. But that subtle shift to, Father, what are you doing today, does a unique thing because it joins me in with him working. Whereas it's an us thing, not just a me thing.
Right. No, it's good. I think that, filter's so critical. And that's everything, and part of that is I like that, a simple next step as we look at this, because you're going to enter into, the decisions of your life. And I studied it one time, and I can't remember, but we make hundreds of decisions, if not thousands, I can't remember the number, every day. And it allows you to take that through that. What are you doing, right? And I can be content. I mean, I can trust you. I can walk by faith, not by sight. And it doesn't mean you lose your mind and you don't use the reasoning skills, because that's all gift of him. But this idea that we might be anxious or afraid or lose sight of where we're going, ultimately, I think it could help us be content, because, the world's like a washing machine and we're dropped in it. And Jesus, again, back to John 16, he says it, you will have tribulation. We're in this washing machine. It's just all over. Yeah. But we can have a peace that transcends understanding, when we understand. I think it's a great question. Another thought that jumped to mind, I want to make sure people understand, because I'm trusting that you believe it too, is when we talk about contentment and this joy and this shalom, and we're comparing it to happiness, I pray you be happy. I want you to be happy. But there'll be times you won't be happy, and you can still be in shalom and content, right? Yeah. So that's what's important. It doesn't mean everything's going to go like you wish it would go. And I don't know what the big hits you'll get. Yeah. And so there'll be times that we'll be happy and we'll be unhappy. And in those seasons, we can still have contentment, right? So
100%. Yeah. And I think even some of what we've tried to cover today is we are exposed to, shaped by, and shaping culture every day, whether we want to or not. That's just part of being a human in a society. And our society so heavily pushes us towards finding that happiness. It's a bit of a compare and contrast of what did Jesus say about that?
Right.
And I totally agree. I mean, I think, and Paul said it specifically, there's this peace, this shalom to be found, that when the highs are really high and when the lows are really low, maybe even back to what Jesus said, like the Lord, I want to do what he's doing. I see what he's doing. The Lord is with me. And so, as I'm learning to do that, I think this is in a world that in my life, I love when stuff is microwavable fast, right? This is not fast.
No.
This is super slow. And, think even back maybe as a closing thought, it's a little cheesy maybe, but to that psychology article, the suggestion is, if you're feeling lonely coming off of social media, developing an offline relationship, well, I think one of the exclamation points of the cross is to ruin loneliness in our hearts.
Yeah.
Because he sent the Holy Spirit to dwell with us. Maybe the first relationship we need to cultivate is the one with Jesus.
Yeah. No, amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because he resides where no other can.
Yeah.
You're right. You know, I mean, God, is our soul level, is how we talk about our essence. And it's God himself through the person of the Holy Spirit that resides in us. And Jesus is called our friend, and so we have these relationships. So, and that really, again, when get that ultimate loneliness dealt with, it really, guides the rest of your steps, that you're not trying to meet this core unfulfilled need. Because in Ecclesiastes, he says he's put the eternity in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not filled with God who is eternal, you're going to try to fill it with other things that aren't eternal.
Mm-hmm.
And there goes man's aimless chase.
Yeah.
Right? So amen.
Yeah.
To what you just said.
Good stuff, dude. Thanks for listening with us today. And as always, I guess I'll just say it this way. I was going to mention our email, but we love hearing from you. It's been so fun to hear stories of people engaging with conversation or poking fun at us about fashion stuff or whatever silliness. So thank you for sharing those. We'd love to hear more. If something is stirring a conversation, if you have additional questions, if you want to take a conversation offline or something encourage you, it's helpful to us. It's encouraging. And we're really doing this for you guys. And so thank you for tuning in, the faithful bunch of you that keep tuning in. Thank you for that. And we'll keep going with more conversation.
Yep. Love it. Appreciate you a ton, and be content.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
More than Sunday, more than Sunday.
Oh, you're a nice one. That was
There's a lot of other days in the week.
Sunday.
There's also Sunday. Ba-doom, doom, doom, da, ba-doom.
I'll see you right now.
More than Sunday.
Oh, well, that could be our intro.